Hello, everyone. This is Kyla from Hidden Gems Literary Emporium, your family owned nonprofit community bookstore. And we are here with a very special guest all the way from Canada for our Ask the Author series today, Miss Malak Chehab, who is the, did I pronounce it right?
Yes, you did.
All right.
No,
Miss Malak is the author of this book, which is available and on display here at Hidden Gems, Perfectly Flawed Poetry for Change. And we're very happy to have this book here. And we also want to thank you for donating a few copies to some of our efforts that we did at Rutgers University. And the readers have really been drawn to it. I think because of the title also initially. And also we had it on, well, we moved the displays in the books around, but we had it on our social issues display table for a little bit also. And so it did really well over there. So we want to thank you for your time today, first and foremost.
thank you. Thank you for your time as well.
Oh, no problem. Uh, okay, so let us begin by you introducing yourself, telling us a little bit about you and what inspired the creation of this book.
Okay. Well, let's start from the beginning. I was born in Ghana, uh, raised there until the Civil War, moved to Lebanon, stayed there for 3 years before another Civil War, moved to Canada um, because that was the only option left. Was raised here my entire youth until I got married and went back to Lebanon for 20 some years. Then, of course, I went back to university while pregnant with my third child, completed my MA in English literature, comparative English literature, and went to teaching. And then we had another upheaval in the area because I'm Canadian and my kids are Canadian. We moved here. And having moved here, I was still iffy as to how to teach and get back into the groove. So I let it slide for a little bit. And my kids and my husband pushed me into writing after I had a surgery. And that was the result.
Wow. So this book, so you wrote this book after the surgery or during that process?
After the surgery, because I had a lot of time on my hands. I couldn't, I mean, it was a bowel obstruction. So I couldn't drive for 2 months. I couldn't carry anything heavy. So it was a slow recovery period. So the kids told me they knew I loved to read, and they knew I had a way with words. So they just pushed me into it, kind of thing.
At first, when they were pushing you into it, as you say, did you have any hesitations? Did you have any moments where you said, oh no, how am I going to write a book? How do I do this? I don't even know how to do that. Or was it something where they were pushing you towards and you said, oh yeah, this feels great, I'm going to run towards this?
Well, I started small. So I started with a blog on Tumblr, and following, sometimes they would put prompts and ideas that, you write with, you go with. And then I started with that, but then a lot of ideas would just pop into my mind. Things that happened in the past that would that continued to affect me, things that happened while I was writing. So during the pandemic, there was the port explosion in Beirut, a lot of events that I felt I needed to express um, the injustice and the corruption, and how inhumane humanity really is, in a sense. So I just needed to express it in my own words.
Yes. My husband and I, we write poetry also. And we always talk about, especially to the youth and young adults, adults too, but we always talk about how poetry is a great way to talk about things that are usually not talked about
So
because of,
taboo.
yes. And I saw that word, yes, is in the back of your summary.
Hmm.
Things that are considered taboo, it's easy to talk about them and to address them when you're writing poetry. And go
Yes
ahead.
and no.
Okay, tell me why yes and tell me why no.
Okay, now when you're writing poetry, because of the ability of hidden messages, of incorporating ideas and perceptions of your audience, then you can hide kind of information within your writing. So you have second and sub meaning within your writing, correct? However, with today's world where everything is politically correct, where you basically have to worry about um, being gender correct, whether you're being racially correct, whether you're being politically correct. All of these issues are things that you have to keep in mind while writing. So it makes it very difficult to find the right words to express your meaning.
How did you find the right words when you were talking about some of the tough issues that you talk about in your book?
You know what? I used a lot of dictionary and thesaurus because honestly, I wanted the right word with the right rhyme, with the right feel to it. And generally, I write like a complete poem in like 10 minutes. But then I have to look it over and have my daughter edit it because my eldest daughter is psychology linguistics major. So I had her look at it, and then she would tell me, Mom, you forgot your comma here, you forgot to add this there, and then this word is spelled wrong. uh, you know um just looking it over, I would try and find that rhythm that was missing, or that, that little tweak that it required. And that takes a lot longer than actually writing the actual poem.
Yes, agreed. Uh, and I love that you included your daughter in this process too.
Oh,
And
let me give you another idea about my eldest daughter, Fida. She was my editor and my title. She came up with the titles of the majority of my poems.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that because I was going to
Mhm,
ask you about the titles and
mhm.
how you came up with them. So when you write, correct me if I'm wrong. So when you write a poem, you get the thoughts out first, and then you go back and tweak it and fine tune it, and
Mhm.
then title on.
Absolutely. The title comes last because sometimes you want a title that is attention grabbing and deconstructive at the same time. Sometimes you just want to be blunt. So there's one poem that I call Identity. If you notice, it's in the second part. And I read this yesterday at an open mic. Um, And they actually loved it because it incorporates the idea of having grown up in two countries where there were civil wars, and because of the result, the civil wars were results of post-colonial the post-colonial eras, right? So you can see that in that particular poem. So if you want, I can read a little part of it.
I was going to ask. Yes, please.
Okay, so I'll read the second stanza. The title is Identity. Where I come from is a struggle for power of the mighty rich and the forceful over those weaker, strength of arms and conniving manipulator, starting with the colonizer and ending with a subjugator. Whether he be foreign or local is neither here nor there. Both are like Animal Farm, where the oppressed revolt and place a leader who becomes worse than the oppressor. So that's just part of it.
Can you talk about the last two lines of that stanza, where the oppressed revolt and place a leader who becomes worse than the oppressor? What do you mean by that?
You've read Animal Farm, haven't you?
Of course.
Okay, so remember the farmer himself was he was very harsh on the animals that he had, but he fed them, right? At least he fed them and he had them sheltered. However, when the animals revolted and they placed the pigs in command, the pigs stopped feeding them properly. So this is the exact same idea, that although the oppressor, the new oppressor is from within the country itself, with the right nationality, if you want, and the right race, it doesn't matter. They still have political agendas that oppress the people themselves, and they want an elite that refers back to the colonial era. And that's the main idea that I wanted to portray in that particular identity poem.
You seem like a woman with so much joy and brightness, and you're just glowing. And as soon as you came into the Zoom, I thought, wow, she's glowing through the screen. How do you, growing up, child in so much war and turmoil, and I'm sure that you have seen a lot of things growing up in that air. How do you keep that joy and that smile and that brightness? How?
3 things: faith, my belief in God, and the support of my family. Now, I'm not just talking about my kids and my husband. I'm also talking about my parents and my extended family. We have a huge support group for one another. And honestly, like I wouldn't be where I am without the support of everyone there. I think my faith is one of the things that keeps me smiling. And I have another poem in there, and it says, it's titled, just a second. Laugh brightens the world. It's on page 7. and it's my baby daughter's laugh. For me, it's just when I see her smile or when I hear her laugh, it feels like a joy is bursting out of me. And for me, it's the same with my belief and my faith. So the more I smile, the more that comes back to me. So if you want karma with the smile, and I believe that to be very, very true. So the more positive you are, the more positive energy you attract.
Mhm. It's absolutely true.
Yeah.
And we talk about those things all the time. And
Mm-hmm.
we recently did a TED Talk at Rutgers a few weekends ago, and our
Mm-hmm.
keynote was called "The Power of the Tongue." You donated
Mm-hmm.
bookstore benefit. Thank you. And
Yes.
so it was called "The Power of the Tongue," and it was talking about, we were encouraging the audience to mind their thoughts, but also the words that they speak, and to speak more positively over their life and their situations, and
Mm-hmm.
watch how that situation will come to pass in the way that you spoke about it. So a lot of times we live in a stressful and tumultuous world, and it's easy for us to feel, crumbled down by everything. But what happens when, and you talked about your daughter, my son is a huge example for me, just his joy, his brightness, his innocence, his smile.
Yep.
And he you learn so much being a parent. Anyway, so
Uh-huh.
we always start our day by saying, did you have any good, tell me about your dreams. He'll say things like milk, cookie, whatever. And then we say, we're going to have a great day. You ready to have a great day? Great day. Yes, we're going to have a great day. And that's what we're saying all the way out the house, in the car. And then our days usually are very great and bright and joyous, especially when you're
Exactly.
around, like you said, your family, the ones that support you. It's
Mm-hmm.
important. So I definitely agree with that. Is that why part one of your book is relationships, family, kin, and friends?
Yes.
Okay.
You do know that you start with the topic that is closest to your heart. Although it was uh, that was the idea.
Uh, and I love the titles. What's your daughter's name? Who did the titles?
The youngest one or the eldest one?
Whichever one did the titles.
Oh, Fida.
Fida,
Fida. Yeah.
great job, girl, because these are, I love how they are short, sweet, and to the point,
Yep.
but they say what the poem is about. And
Mm-hmm.
we're avid book readers, of course. We love a good table of contents. And I
Mm-hmm.
love how if you run through the table of contents, you can pick out a poem that calls to you, maybe based on how you're feeling in that very moment.
Yeah.
Laugh
Mm-hmm.
brightens the world, or this too shall pass, or value defines. They're powerful statements that
Mm-hmm.
call you to flip through. And so
Mm-hmm.
of course we encourage everybody to read the whole book, but the ways that we read books may vary depending on how we're feeling. So
That's true.
I love how this book is, what's the word, compact. My husband will tell you I pack too many things in my bag. So this book
Mm-hmm.
fits perfectly in my laptop bag. And it's one of those things where you could just flip open and glean something from it. Or what we also like to do, especially with books like this, we talk to so many people every day, all the time. And so we talk about poetry for change or social change, things like that a lot. And so this book is a great reference for those types of things. And
Thank
so
you.
yes, we love this book. I want to I want to shine a light on some of the other parts as well. So part 2 is called Social Criticism, Post-Colonial Politics and Religion.
Mm-hmm.
And then part 3 is self-reflection, empowerment, and awareness. I
Mm-hmm.
feel as though the way that those parts are crafted, it takes you kind of on a step. So, of course, your foundation is your relationships, your family, your kin, and your friends. And then
Yeah,
as you go through this world, you will encounter social criticism, post colonial politics, and religion. But through
true.
it all, you have to come through with self reflection, empowerment, and awareness.
Yeah, you do. You do. Because otherwise, I mean, if you don't question your beliefs, you will not grow. If you don't question the givens in society, the norms in society, you cannot overcome the racial injustice, the inequality, inequity. Um, all of these issues will not be solved. So it just needs a lot of thought and courage, really, because I mean, if you don't have the courage to actually express yourself and put yourself out there, you will not get any feedback, and you will not grow from that feedback.
Why do you think some people are afraid to ask questions?
They're afraid of the answer. I think it's basically that simple, because if instinctually, you know, you're not going to like the answer that is being given to you, you will not ask the question, because it supports a particular morale or a particular ethic that doesn't fit in society right now. And you would have to go against the stream, against the trend. And that is very difficult for people right now.
Very true. Hmm. They say the truth hurts, but then they say the truth will set you free.
Well, that's true. Both are true. Both
Mhm.
are extremely true. In my particular case, having expressed myself and learned to actually hone that skill and have the actual courage to be interviewed and be on an open mic has been an eye opener. When I was younger, I was more of an introvert. When I turned into a teacher, I opened up. When I started writing, you could say I lost my virginity.
Yes, you're fully and completely expressive. And I think that's also the beautiful thing about growth and going through things, coming out of things, being on this journey of life. That tends to happen, especially if, like you said, you have a good foundation, you have family
Yeah,
who support you, and then you reach a point in your life where you think, why not do an open mic? Why not write a book?
yeah,
Why
exactly.
not things?
Exactly. I mean, um, I'm not, um, I'm not ashamed of myself. And I'm not ashamed of my religion. I'm not ashamed of who I am. The opposite is true. I'm actually very proud of how I reached this stage. The actual obstacles that I had to overcome in order to be who I am today. So, and I know a lot of people are going through similar obstacles. So why not share? And why not enjoy the freedom of having someone having an aha moment after reading something that you've written, you know, and having that discussion about something that is difficult and an eye opener for you and them at the same time.
We love those aha moments. And
Yes.
It's something so just divine about it when
Hmm.
someone comes in. They could be a child, they could be an adult, but you see it in their eyes.
That
And you could,
brightness.
yes, and you could tell that they're going to think about that conversation and
Hmm.
look into it. And when we're big on history and a lot of the topics that you talk about in this book, we are all here for and talk about as well. And so we always tell people, don't take our word for it. We read about it and we studied, and that's how we found out. You should study on your own. Don't just believe me because I'm telling you. We always encourage people to do your own research. All of these
Hmm.
topics and things that you talk about, people can look into and do their own research and prayerfully be inspired to also use their voice and their talents and their artistries
Exactly. Yeah.
to spread the word and let people know.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
This has been a lovely conversation. What do you think?
I think it was a wonderful conversation,
All
actually.
right. Okay. And Miss Malak, I want to thank you for your time today. Oh, one more question. If somebody wants to leave a review for this book or contact you, maybe ask you a question or give you their thoughts or opinions, what's the best way for people to reach you online?
My email or my website. So both are available. My email is very simple. Simple. MALAKKC@yahoo.com. My website, I also have an email on my website that I haven't started using yet because it's a new feature. It's MALAKKC writing .com.
Okay. And thank you for sharing that. We encourage everyone who has this book to leave a review for you. And of course, we want to encourage everybody to come by Hidden Gems Literary Emporium and get their copy of Perfectly Flawed Poetry for Change by Miss Malak Chehab, all the way from Canada. We want to thank you again so much for your time today. And we look forward to staying connected with you.
Great. Thank you.
No problem. Have a great day.
You too.
Okay.
Bye
Bye.
bye.